Okay, everyone, welcome back. Danny here.
Hi, Kingston. I'm Daisy.
We're looking at a case today that hits close to home for, I think, every ER doc out there.
Oh, absolutely. A real bread and butter presentation, but one that can definitely keep us on our toes.
Exactly. So picture this. You've got a 27-year-old woman, first pregnancy, about 7 weeks along, comes in with some lower abdominal pain, a little bit of bleeding.
Yeah, classic.
Right. You're already thinking, okay, we got to rule out an ectopic. But then the beta HCG comes back, and it's 541.
Below that magic number, right?
That 1500, yeah. The so-called discriminatory zone.
Where we're taught we should see an intrauterine pregnancy on ultrasound.
Intrauterine, right.
Exactly. But that's where things get a little tricky. Turns out that 1500 number might not be as reliable as we thought when it comes to ectopic pregnancies.
You're saying that 1500, it doesn't necessarily mean we're in the clear.
It's not so cut and dry. There's been some really interesting research on this. A recent study actually looked at this whole discriminatory zone idea and ectopic pregnancies specifically. What they found was pretty eye-opening.
Okay. I'm all ears. What did they find?
Well, they looked at a bunch of cases of ectopic pregnancies, and get this, the median beta HCG level for those ectopic pregnancies was only 1289.
Wait, so lower than that 1500 we always talk about.
Significantly lower, yeah. Think about it. Almost half the women in the study who had an ectopic, they were presenting with a beta HCG below 1500.
Wow. That's way more than I would have expected. And what about those really scary cases, the ruptured ectopics?
That's the thing, right? That's what keeps us up at night. And those were showing up with lower HCG levels too. Almost 45% of the ruptured ectopics in the study, they were below that 1500 mark.
So what you're telling me is that we can't just look at a beta HCG and say, oh, it's under 1500, we're good.
It's not that simple. We got to think beyond just the number.
And I know we talk a lot about serial HCGs. You get one, you get another one in 48 hours. Does this study change how we think about those two?
It definitely adds another layer, right? Like, serial HCGs can be helpful, absolutely. But even if those levels are rising the way we expect, it still doesn't completely eliminate the possibility of an ectopic.
So it's not a guarantee.
Not a guarantee. We can't get tunnel vision on the lab results. We have to remember the whole clinical picture, the patient's history, our physical exam findings, and of course, the ultrasound. We can't forget about the ultrasound.
Which brings us to, I guess, the big takeaway here. What should we be doing differently?
I think the message is clear. If there's even a suspicion of an ectopic, that ultrasound needs to happen, no matter what the beta HCG is.
Even if it's way below 1500?
Even if it's 500, 800, even lower. We can't let a low number lull us into a false sense of security. That 1500, remember, it was originally meant to help us confirm an intrauterine pregnancy.
Not to rule out an ectopic.
Exactly. It's a subtle but super important distinction.
This is really making me rethink my whole approach to these cases.
Yeah.
And I bet a lot of other ER docs out there are feeling the same way. Do you think this study will actually change the way we practice?
I sure hope so. It's a powerful reminder, I think. We can't get complacent, right? We can't just rely on numbers. We have to trust our clinical judgment, do those thorough assessments, and always have that little bit of suspicion in the back of our minds.
Always be thinking, could this be an ectopic?
Exactly. And for everyone listening out there, take this back to your departments, talk about it with your colleagues, make sure everyone's on the same page, because this isn't just about, updating our knowledge. It's about potentially saving lives.
It's about being that much more vigilant.
Exactly. Being aware that those classic numbers, those thresholds we rely on, they might not always tell the whole story.
And on that note, folks, let's all go out there and be extra careful. Thanks for tuning in.
See you next time.